A river winds across the landscape. It looks almost like Earth. The valleys branch naturally. The channels merge. They spread toward a distant shoreline. If you saw only this terrain, you would probably assume water carved every curve. That assumption lasts only a moment. When a spacecraft finally pierced the thick orange haze surrounding Saturn's largest moon, radar uncovered something almost impossible to accept. The river networks were real, the shorelines were real, the lakes were real, but the familiar landscape obeyed completely different rules. Titan did not borrow Earth's appearance. It reinvented it. Most frozen moons are expected to be quiet places. Their surfaces preserve old scars instead of creating new ones. Craters outlast rivers because rivers should no longer exist. That expectation shaped the first view of Titan as well. Hidden beneath its atmosphere, it seemed likely to be another world locked in deep cold. Then the maps arrived. Instead of random fractures crossing frozen ground, radar revealed branching drainage systems spreading across the surface with the unmistakable geometry of river valleys. They curved around hills. Smaller channels joined larger ones. They gathered toward broad northern basins exactly as rivers do on Earth. The shapes were too organized to dismiss. For the first time, Titan stopped looking like a frozen relic. It began to resemble a living landscape. That created a new problem. Perhaps these rivers belonged to the distant past. Perhaps they had carried liquid millions of years ago before freezing forever. After all, Titan's surface is unimaginably cold. Nothing should still be flowing there. Then the river itself became the next piece of evidence. One enormous channel system stretches for hundreds of kilometers before emptying directly into one of Titan's great northern seas. The connection is seamless. Valleys feed the basin exactly as modern rivers feed Earth's oceans. Meanwhile, the probe that descended through Titan's atmosphere landed on a broad plain scattered with rounded pebbles. Rounded stones tell a simple story. Something carried them. Something rolled them against one another until sharp edges disappeared. Those pebbles were not shaped by imagination. They were shaped by flowing liquid. Suddenly the rivers could no longer be treated as fossils. The landscape was still working. Only one question remained. What could possibly flow at almost 180 degrees below zero? Everything the eye recognizes encourages the wrong answer. There are rivers, there are lakes, there are shorelines, there is even rain. Water seems unavoidable. Then another familiar certainty falls away. Liquid water cannot survive on Titan's surface. At those temperatures, it freezes into something as hard as granite. The mountains themselves are made of water ice. The bedrock beneath every valley is frozen water, locked into permanent stone. The liquid moving through those valleys is something entirely different. It is mostly methane, mixed with ethane and dissolved nitrogen. The same family of hydrocarbons that people associate with natural gas has become the working fluid of an entire landscape. The river has not changed. Only its identity has. The familiar channel cutting across the ground is no longer evidence of water. It has become evidence that another liquid can perform the same geological work under completely different conditions. That realization spreads outward. If rivers use methane, what about everything connected to them? The answer first appears overhead. Clouds gather inside Titan's thick atmosphere. They release methane rain that falls more slowly than rain on Earth because of the moon's dense air and weaker gravity. Those downpours can trigger sudden floods that race across valleys carved into mountains of frozen water ice. The rivers carry that liquid toward immense northern seas. Some of those seas stretch across hundreds of kilometers. One of them reflected sunlight back toward an orbiting spacecraft as a brilliant infrared glint. The reflection revealed something astonishingly ordinary. A calm liquid surface. Not ice. Not solid ground. A genuine sea resting beneath an orange sky. Piece by piece, the entire climate reveals itself. Rain feeds rivers. Rivers feed lakes. Lakes feed seas. Liquid evaporates. Clouds return. Every major part of a hydrological cycle still exists. Only the chemistry has been replaced. The familiar river has quietly transformed once again. It is no longer just a strange feature crossing an alien landscape. It has become the visible thread connecting an entire planetary system built without surface water. By now, the landscape itself begins to look different, even though nothing visible has changed. The valleys are still valleys. The shorelines are still shorelines. The mountains still rise above the plains. Yet every object has exchanged its role for another. The rock beneath your feet would actually be frozen water. The river beside it would be liquid methane. The rain overhead would not fill a freshwater stream. It would replenish hydrocarbon lakes stretching across the poles. Titan never tried to become another Earth. It simply discovered another way to organize a world. The river returns one last time. At the beginning, it looked familiar because it resembled rivers we already knew. Then it proved the landscape was still active. Later it revealed that the flowing liquid was not water at all. Now it carries its final meaning. Nature did not copy Earth's design. It rebuilt the same recognizable geography using entirely different materials. That quiet river winding across Titan is no longer an odd curiosity on a distant moon. It is evidence that Earth is one successful version of a planetary landscape, not the only one. Beneath Titan's orange sky, familiar beauty survives after every familiar rule has been replaced.